A huge thank you to Kurt, Ryan, for putting this on and celebrating the life of our dear friend and brother, Buddy. Come here. Buddy.
Hey, I got
Ah, grandkids! I think we're going to need this. My dear daughter.
Okay.
That's just like a
Is it sticking out my butt?
So, how about a big round of applause for the Mountain Rose family? And our dear Lord for this beautiful day. We're
And
here.
Ryan, you're doing a hell of a job.
Fantastic.
And Ryan!
Yeah!
So we're here to celebrate the life of John Robert Taylor, aka JT, Lefty, and the kid, Robert and Audrey Taylor, who met in New Jersey where they were raised. JT's birth was preceded by oldest brother Mark, middle sister Kathy, who's here with us today celebrating. Robert Taylor was known as Bob. Bob was a mechanical engineer, and he had a Bachelor's of Science degree from Stevens Institute Technology in New Jersey, and spent much of his career at the China Lake Naval Base. Later, Bob earned his master's degree from the University of Southern California in business management. Audrey Taylor, mom, attended Catherine Gibbs Secretary School in Montclair, New Jersey, a prominent school founded in 1911. Audrey worked as a legal secretary once the kids were of school age. You know, a quote from Kathy's pretty cute. My mom, she was a lovely woman, but a bit naive. John spent his first summer at Humboldt State University working on his friend's tomato farm. Tomatoes in Humboldt?
Chinese tomatoes. Chinese tomatoes, man.
The funny thing is, Audrey believed him. Education was important to the Taylor family. All five were prominently educated, and four of them with Masters of Science degrees. At the age of 5, JT's age of 5, the family moved to Corona, California, where they lived for 2 years, then moving to Camarillo, California in Ventura County. This is where JT spent his formative years through high school, graduating in 1981. JT attended Sul Ross State University in Alpine, Texas, his first year of college, where he knew that he wanted to study the field of geology. Transferring to Humboldt State University in Arcata, California, where he attained his degree in geology in 1985. He skated a bit, working on the farm growing tomatoes, but he did graduate with a solid B average. You know, JT was such an easygoing guy. You know, we all know him and love him, and overly generous. In fact, there was a time when his truck parked at the top of Fickle Hill in Humboldt. His truck went screaming down the hill all the way to the bottom and struck a tree. Though damaged, it was still drivable. However, sitting out in the rain with a broken window, the Humboldt rain, mushrooms growing inside, he gave it to a friend who had no vehicle, and he went to riding his bike. He never did admit to his parents, though, he failed to set the parking brake. One of JT's geology professors at Humboldt took a job at the University of Nevada, Reno. Jerry Carver was a major influence in the Humboldt migration into Reno. A dozen of his students transferred to UNR, where JT studied for his master's degree in geology, graduating in 1992 with a perfect 4.0 grade average.
Right on. JT.
Who would have thunk it?
That was before the tomatoes.
No, it's during the
JT and his buddies called it the University of Humboldt, Reno. He lived with his roommate, John Caskey, off an alley on 6th Street behind the Ramada Inn in downtown Reno. Dairy Queen Action Corner was a frequent hangout, as well as the pub and sub near the university.
Remember those days.
Yep.
Al, raise your hand. Al Ramelli, are you here? All right, buddy. This is where JT met Al Ramelli, also studying for his master's in geology, and they became lifelong friends. They met at the pub and sub, where the fearsome 12 from Humboldt invited
Raise your hands, fearsome 12.
invited him to join their club, making him an honorary Humboldtian. That's the only way I could figure to say it. JT lived with Al in Spanish Springs for 2 years as he started his geology career working in the geothermal field in Lovelock, Nevada at Brady's Hot Springs. With the downturn in geothermal expansion, JT moved into mineral exploration. He worked with Kirk Schmidt in Midas, Nevada, where JT found substantial gold deposits.
Yes, he did, brother.
Right on. They marketed their claims and the company, which sold to a large mining firm. From Midas, JT spent several years as a contract employee in the desert of Seven Troughs near Lovelock, Nevada, continuing mineral exploration, or as JT called it, licking rocks. As JT and Al became closer friends, they decided they wanted to buy some mountain land and build. With barely 2 quarters to rub together, they were eyeing a lot up in Logan Meadows, and forgive me if I have the story wrong, I was taking brief notes. But they were eyeing a lot up in Logan Meadows. While trying to finance the transaction, it got sold out from under them. They got together and they wrote a letter to every landowner, all 11 of them, in Logan Meadows, seeking to purchase property. The next day, by noon, Al purchased property in Logan Meadows, where he lived for 6 years. JT soon bought the lot right above Al's place and moved a travel trailer up there and figured he was all set. JT was so forward thinking that he failed to procure a sizable enough propane tank to support the cold winter months. His first winter in Logan Meadows, he could be seen several times a week snowshoeing up the road with a 5-gallon propane tank.
And it's a long hike.
It's 2 hours, 2.7 miles. With shares from the Midas mining claims, he was able to purchase Bill King's home and property in Logan Meadows, where he spent the remainder of his life. JT was quite an athlete, a huge sports fan, a Dodger fan, a UNR fan.
We made him a Giants fan.
He rarely missed a basketball game. Though he loved basketball, he never played seriously due to his vertically challenged stature. He tried out for football in junior high school, and after double sessions during the hot summer, determined, that's not for me. Living on the coast of Southern California, naturally a surfer, known as the madman or hellman of the waves. JT picked up soccer, found his calling. He played American Youth Soccer League in his early years and continued playing adult soccer league, becoming quite accomplished. I believe he'd still be playing soccer, but his knees told him, no more, no more. JT, he switched his sport to skiing, first backcountry skiing, going on some fantastic trips with Al and friends and many of you all over North America. Living so close to Mount Rose, he migrated to downhill skiing and became a great downhill skier, if many of you know that.
Yeah.
He rarely missed a day up here where we all had the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
That's right, Derek.
We did.
To be close friends with the kid. There was never a day that he did not buy beers for everybody sitting at his table.
Yay, JT!
Anybody get a
A PBR.
It was a lucky day. It was a very, very
On his
lucky day
tailgate.
if you were able to buy one in return for him. And rarely did he allow that to happen. Christy and I were blessed to become his friend about 15 years ago. Bear with me. The first time I met JT, right here at Winters Creek Lodge. Christy and JT spent the day skiing. I brought my son Connor, our son Connor, up,
God bless you.
and walked in here. We sat down. JT sporting that massive beard that only he could grow, as was normal, wrapped up in 3 down coats held together by duct tape.
Velcro.
My first impression of him was, man, this kid's overweight. But boy, was I wrong. Over the years, he would come visit our home on the weekends. He fell in love with our chocolate lab Molly. It became expected for him to arrive Friday at 2 p.m. and he would stay and left very precisely Tuesday at 11 a.m.
He'd wait for Jared to get home for lunch.
We spent many evenings playing cards, playing dice, and drinking the famous
PBR.
If you notice the pictures in there, rarely did he not have a PBR in his hand. He was befriended by our whole family and extended family. Christy's dad spent his career working for the Bureau of Mines right up there at the university as a chemist. And you put those two together, they would talk mining for hours. JT joined us on hunting trips, camping, Thanksgiving dinners, and out to our family ranch in Austin, Nevada. 2.5 years ago, we went to Christy's family reunion in Coloma, California, gold country, where we camped, whitewater rafted the North Fork of the American River, where Sister Kathy worked as a whitewater guide in her early years. There's a great JT story about Coloma. So her family reunions are 100, 150 people. And probably 70% of them are Mormons. 65 maybe? And we had the absolute biggest and best campsite overlooking the most treacherous rapid of the North Fork. And it's class 4 rapids up there, 3 and 4. And everyone wanted to watch about every other raft flip and people scrambling and
Actually, fly up.
so we always had a crowd of people at our camp, which was cool. You know, we're friendly, happy people. And after about day 3, JT said, you know, I've got a buddy that lives in Coloma, and if you'll drive me down to the bar, I'll buy you a couple pints. I said, sure, we'll take a break and go down to this bar in Coloma. He goes, if you don't mind, he's going to give me a little bag of weed. So we sat there and visited with his friend and had a fantastic time. Great guy. And then it was time to leave. We had to get back to the family because we were in charge of making appetizers for dinner. JT goes, well, you don't mind if I just hang here for a couple more pints with my buddy? I said, no problem. He goes, well, we'll walk out and get that little bag of weed. And I have my pickup truck, no shell on it, open. And there's a truck next to me with a cover, and they open up this cover and they pull out a 55-gallon garbage bag. 9 pounds of weed. 9 pounds of weed, and they flop it in the back of my truck. And I'm going, what the hell? I gotta take this back to the camp, and all the Mormons are gonna be sitting in my camp. What do I do?
Hey, Derek, did you give him a lighter?
So we're driving
Did you give him a
back.
lighter? He was asking for a lighter, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. So we're driving back. Christy goes, "We can't take this into camp. We got to bury it. We're trying to find a place to hide it, to bury it." And I go, "Chris."
It's stinking.
So, needless to say, she distracted the family while I stuffed it in a bin, and we forgot it. He got his little bag of wheat. JT was a simple man. He retired early in life, and he kept life simple. However, he had a great life. He had a great life from the family he had up here. Always happy, smiling, glad to see you and glad to be seen. He was a keen listener and rarely forgot the name of someone he just met. He never passed up an adventure, skiing in British Columbia, fishing in Alaska, or navigating the Grand Canyon on a raft. He was the most loyal friend and guy a guy could have. JT was one of our closest friends and became a brother to us. If he failed to show up one week, we would panic. He was kind, generous, loving, and always willing to pitch in and help. He walked our dog Molly 3 times a day. Every day he was at our house. He let her sleep on his bed. We finally convinced him not to sleep in the garage. We got a bed in the basement, JT. Come on, man. 3 times a day he walked our dog, and then he would let her sleep right at the foot of his bed in the basement. He had a steadfast respect for good people and always, always treated women with the utmost respect that they deserve. So much so that he would challenge anyone not doing the same. Chris Corson and Christy witnessed JT looking up in this guy's eyes, standing on his toes to thump him in the chest for not doing what he expected him to do.
Yeah.
And be respectful to women. Kathy was his professor in how to respect women. He was an admirable man, a dear friend,
And a human being.
and a brother, and he was JT. So, even though it's kind of like harsh, I'd like to have a toast for our dear friend JT, but y'all gotta go grab one.
Oh, I want to get one.
When you're back,
Bring one back, Bruce. Come on, Bruce.
God bless you, my man.
Matt.
Until we meet again, we're gonna miss you dearly. A toast to our brother, JT.
Right
John Klein, I'd like to ask you to come up and share some words.
Yeah.
And folks, I'm sorry the microphone's not working, but you all have stories of our brother. Feel free to come up and share your thoughts and let your heart pour out.
All right, Johnny.
Oh boy! Doesn't everybody like to talk and a whole bunch of people? Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Woo!
Derek and I have known each other for 40 years. He stole my girlfriend.
Still a little salty.
I'm John. John Klein. For those of you
Johnny
who do
Klein.
not know me, I was a friend of JT's. And I also want Kurt, Ryan, thank you so much, Mount Rose, for throwing this all together. Thank you. About a good 15 years ago, JT and I were on the deck, on the other side of the deck. All the shame. Drinking a beer. Yeah, what are the odds, huh? What are the odds? But we didn't know each other. We didn't know each other. Christy,
Used to be his
my ex-girlfriend,
I didn't know any of this.
Big community up here.
that's not ours. I believe Christy introduced JT and I. And from that day, from that moment, we were buddies. And that's how JT was. He was so welcoming, such a good friend. That's the way he was. And that's the way it was. We became buddies. We skied up here. Not a lot. Where's Cash? Where's Cash? Most days lease runs.
Most days.
2 runs today.
How many beers?
4.
How many bong hits?
When we had a lot of fun up here. When we were not here in the summertime, we'd go to Pyramid. Go out to Pyramid, camping and water skiing. We didn't water ski very much. I don't think JT ever water skied. As a matter of fact, I don't even think JT liked water. Evident, right, JT?
Yes!
Seriously. But so we would meet up with Ned and Judy and the kids, and Judy and her girls and the kids. The kids would bring the energy out to Pyramid. JT would bring the breakfast and a lot of other stuff.
Tomatoes!
You didn't want to sleep in out there at Pyramid. You didn't want to oversleep because JT would be out there in the camp kitchen cooking up. He made great eggs. He put everything in those eggs and he brought enough for everybody. That was his generosity. He was so giving. That was JT. Once in a while, I would run into JT down the road at Bully's. Just once in a while. Once in a while, I would run into JT in the upper parking lot. And, of course, have a couple beers. On the other side on the deck, at the wall, inside, out here, we'd have some beers. One place in particular, on the hill, sometimes we'd stash some buried beers.
Ice bar.
Lakeview.
The ice bar.
Lakeview. How many people have stopped at Lakeview at the end of the day when it's a beautiful day like this?
Woo!
How many people have stopped in the middle of the day?
There you go, Steve. 4 o'clock rock. End of the day. The ski patrol knows for sure.
Right?
Yeah. But we'd have beers there, and people would come by, and the friendship. You got the lake sparkling in the background. Come on. We're blessed. We're blessed with where we live,
Yeah.
what we can do, ski as much as we want to,
2 rounds.
or not. We're blessed with the friendship of all of you, and we were blessed with JT's friendship.
Oh yeah. Woo! Way to go, Johnny.
JT had this skill, this ability to sound just like those big black birds, the ravens. Yeah. He could caw just like that. So everybody knows that. So in the upper parking lot, when you hear that noise, everybody's going, wait, is that a bird or is that JT? Birds are fake. They're a government spy
Boy, Johnny's a natural, huh?
Wait a minute. Look at that.
He don't miss a beat.
Today, let's enjoy the time we have with our friends. Let's enjoy the time we have with our families. This is a family. Lord JT, let's enjoy today. And I would also like to put out prayers, good wishes, and vibes to Steve Combs. I would like to. Great job. Where'd my shot glass go, Steve?
I don't know, but you're welcome to drink out of this larger glass.
This is Steve.
So, one thing that JT loved was small batch, completely untaxed mezcal from the Sierra Madre Occidental. And I brought this bottle back from Durango last spring, hoping to share it with him. This is not exported. And so we toast JT and wish him a great afterlife. And we will remember him always. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And anybody who gets here with their glass is welcome to drink. Please.
Thank you, John.
Anybody?
Anyway, so I'm in the parking lot over here on Slideside one time with JT, and I'm just getting to know him. And I said, JT, what does JT stand for? And he goes, oh, my name's really John Taylor. And I said, oh, okay. And so we start talking about our lives and what we're doing, and I said, well, my freshman year of college, I went to UC Santa Barbara. He's like, really? My sister did. I said, oh, okay. And so we talk, and he's a geologist and whatnot, and we start talking more, and I'm like, yeah, when I was at UC Santa Barbara, I played softball. He goes, really? My sister did. I said, no, what was your sister's name? And he goes, Kathy Taylor. I go, you gotta be kidding me. I was a freshman, and she was a junior, and she played third base, and I was her backup. Oh my God, what a small world. Her partner, Bodie, was our second baseman, and I've known these girls obviously for 40 years now. 42. Kathy, Bodie, stand up, please. There you go.
Come on, Rich.
That was the beginning of my friendship with JT, and we've gone way back and done many things, from Bucks Lake that Ned Robinson first turned us on to Pyramid Lake, where we were all pirates. Arr, matey. Obviously Mount Rose, and everybody has wonderful stories of Mount Rose up here. When we had that huge snowstorm, JT couldn't get home because he couldn't trek up the 2.5 miles to his home, so I invited him to live with me for a little while. And he was just so pleasant to have at my house. He would get out there before I even woke up and have the whole driveway snow plowed, and it was about a 250-foot driveway, so I loved having JT live with me. He was the most generous man I know, and always asked about my children. How are Kelly and Kristen? And he did it to so many of my friends. He never forgot their names, or what they did, or who they were. He always asked about your family. He will be so sorely missed. And I just want to say to JT, I love you. I hope you're up there having fun.
We smoked it all. I don't think this is gonna play, but this was on paper share, like our first time hearing JT's voice was on our answering machine in 2010. Wow, have that? So, hello.
Come over here to work. Hello.
Never more than what you needed.
That's how we started out. Like, we started out as neighbors, but we always introduced ourselves as friends and neighbors.
Friends and neighbors.
That was it. Like, being able to like share our little time of becoming John Taylor. That was how he introduced himself to JT. And we know like little stories about probably every single one of you somehow. Memory.
Yeah.
Whether good or bad.
I know you.
Whether good or bad. Whether good or bad.
That was his special thing. Like he would do that for anybody. Do anything. He would remember all those little stories, ask the questions, and then be able to recite back this is so-and-so from here, Mount Rose.
Yep.
I know them from there.
Yep.
Geologist.
Yeah.
All these little trips.
Yeah.
We're kind of thinking like, he didn't have the significant other, so he had all this love to give. Pick me, pick me. I was thinking, these are his significant others.
We all are.
Right here.
Right here.
We all are.
And
Nicely done, Adrian.
I would say, what I miss most about JT is something he said very often, and that was how lucky my husband was to have me. Always very true. He never said that all the time.
He did.
So,
He never said that to me.
you know it's true too. So,
But the adventures, yeah, so that was 2010.
Yeah.
We moved up there. Started out as neighbors. And that's actually what got us to move to this property that's way out in the middle of nowhere. We saw post holes going up. It was like it must have been a big storm, 2010, 11. And somebody was walking home to their property. I'm like, I always thought you just drove into your garage, get the remote, and then that's how you access your house.
yep.
No, it taught us different. So we were able to
Yeah.
get up the hill together.
And JT was always the one breaking trail, hiking up home. He always was. So, I know. One neighbor said, although one neighbor said, I wish he was walking more of a straight line. But man, he made it home every time, no matter what. So,
Like that, our communication started out with a cell phone.
Yep.
And often Big Brother was looking after the cell phone.
Yep.
Spying on him. I had to break him off straight at one point. I said, dude, you're just not that important. I'm boring. Go to work, come back. But yeah, he really made an impact on our lives. Never saying no to anything. Doing the little things that would, just make people happy. We have a little watering hole. He way up in the wilderness, and he built this little bench.
Carried
All of
in.
us, yeah.
Carried in the board and made
Fastened in
bench.
there.
It's like-
So we've got his little watering hole up to remind us. I know. Can't wait to see the sign up there on Lakeview. Yeah, we're just so blessed. But
I've known JT for about 24 years or so. I think I met him in '98. I came to Reno about that time and was a geologist and met a bunch of other backcountry ski geologists here in Reno, and got a blessing of going on a backcountry trip to BC with the group here, a bunch of geologists in '98, and that was the beginning of my friendship with JT. And those trips were incredible, and we had a lot in common. We loved to ski, and we loved geology, and we had great friends, and loved spending time together. And over the years, there's hundreds of stories of JT from British Columbia trips, but there's probably a dozen others or so here that should fill in where I left off. But the one thing that really stands out for me about JT is how witty he was, and how he just made you laugh when you weren't expecting it, and you could not stop laughing. And in addition to being the most generous guy, like everybody else has said, thank you everybody for sharing that, because that is so true. He did the same thing with our family. And ironically, Christy lives like 3 blocks from me. And when JT was walking Molly, I kept telling him where to find us, and he couldn't find us. He kept going down the wrong street. And we have a classy.
His name was John.
Are you the farmer?
No. I was just another student that transferred there, and we took all our upper division classes together and went to field camp together. And he was John, but then there was another friend, John Caskey, who came. We were all taking classes together, and then there was another guy named John. I forget his last name. There was too many Johns. And so there was JT, and then there was JC, which was John Caskey, and unfortunately he couldn't be here today. But even back then, 37-something years ago, he was so generous, and you were instantly his friend. We took all our classes together, so pretty soon we were having our study sessions together, and I'd cook dinner for JC and JT, and we'd all maybe look at the books a little bit and then drink beer. So we're going on a field trip. This is 1987, the spring of '87. We're going to go down to Death Valley, a geology field trip. And JT's walking down the aisle, the bus aisle, and John Caskey was driving. He was the bus driver, and he had this plate of brownies. And he's just passing them out to all the other students. And he gets to me and he says, "Careful, they're strong." And I was like, "Oh, maybe they're really chocolatey." Closer to fudge than brownies. So an hour or two later, I was like, "Oh, that's what he meant." And that kind of, cemented the friendship. We all finished up in '87 from Humboldt. He came here. I went to Montana State for a few years, and he was one of the reasons I came back to came to Reno to further my schooling, because he was here, John Caskey was here, and as soon as I got here, 30 years ago now, there was an instant group of all these geologists who all backcountry skied, and it was just such a lot of you guys are here now, and some of the greatest friendships of my life, and JT was the center of it.
Hey, I did one trip with JT up to Canada backcountry skiing, and we drove into the town of Nelson up there. It's February. Great place. Yeah, really a great place. I mean, the snow is powder snow, knee deep to somewhere on your thigh deep. The roads have all been plowed. There's a big berm beside the road. When you drive down into town, there's a fairly long slope, must be a couple hundred yards, of boulders, things like this, and it's all mostly covered with snow. And we drove into there, and JT said, "Stop the car, I gotta get something." And he pulled off the most amazing navigational I've ever seen.
Stand behind the podium.
Okay, and some girls and birds will stash their nuggets all over the place, sometimes hundreds of them. And remember where they're at? Well, in the dark, JT got out of the car, plowed through the car sunway, walked over with one stab, reached in, shoulder deep through the powder, and came out with a little baby. Probably tomatoes in it, but I just wonder if how many ashes like that are remaining out there left to be found.
But I just want to say, as being one of those kids that JT always asked about, I just feel really, really lucky to have known him and have grown up within this community.
Nice.
I feel like it mostly started with Ned at Pyramid Lake. Those energetic kids. 3 tubes behind one boat, falling off and laughing, even though it was probably really horrific to view. And then just growing up and really flourishing within this Mount Rose environment. I just feel very, very lucky to be here. It's really cool to see how many people JT knew. How many people I know here is shocking. Like, a lot of this community is built around trusting each other and having a safe environment for kids to flourish. So JT definitely contributed to that. The Albies have contributed, the Robinsons, Sextons, Rounds. It could go on for days. Like, just so lucky to be here, and always really appreciated JT's support through it all. Like, he never even had kids, and he acted like a father to all of us.
Yeah.
So, I'm just really grateful to be here. So sad to see JT gone, but happy that he'll live on through everyone here. So. so much.
New to the family, sort of just 11 years in the making. But on my first year here, I came up with Craig, and I was so new to getting back on skis, and I wasn't sure what I was doing, and so I skied for a while, and then my legs were burning, and I was miserable. So he drops me off with John and JT at the deck. And I was like, oh, all right, I'll hang out. So, I don't know, after 3 beers and a couple shots of Jaeger. Remember the Jaeger days?
Oh, yeah,
Poor Craig, he'd come to pick me up, and I'd be like, all right, that was a great day. You want to ski anymore? No. But as a result of hanging out on that deck, I made the best friends, and you guys were all a part of it, and it was because of just, again, reuniting and that family and reinforcing all of it, and much appreciate it, and looking forward to many more years and sharing many memories with everybody. So, thank you.
I have to tell you, JT was a good friend of mine for many years. One of the funniest times that I saw JT, a couple funny times, were on the Mount Rose Highway, where he's just sitting there at the end of Timberline with his skis, hoping somebody will pick him up. And I drove by and I go, there's JT! So I gave him a ride up. And another time, I was going up, and his truck was in one of those little slow vehicle turnouts just past it where the road just opens up without a wheel. It had missed his wheel, apparently decided it didn't like him anymore and went trucking on down the road ahead of him. But the odd thing is that's the second time he lost that wheel. But so the guy who fixed it, they might have not have done a very good job. But he was sitting there and I go, JT, you need a ride anywhere? And he's going, no, I'm good. I got it all covered. So, and that's JT. And then, if I have to tell a third story, I'm a medical person, so, and you know JT doesn't really get along well with the medical community very well. So, back in the olden days, we were talking about flu shots, and we were talking about, and I'm going, everybody should get a flu shot. And JT says, well, what about me? And I go, well, he lives up there in Logan Creek, you know, he doesn't hang around with any kids. So I gave him a free pass. I said, JT, you're the only guy in the world who doesn't need a flu shot.
JT and me, and it's probably not pretty, but Matt used to always tell me about this guy who lived off the grid. And I didn't quite understand it, and so I was kind of bitchy about it. And so then Matt would go skiing, and he would bring books from this person, and I would have to read these books and then send them back. And that's how I fell in love with JT.
Where's the beer, Barry?
Because it was the books that connected me to JT.
The knowledge.
And then when I met him, I have to say that I loved him so much because I felt like I could have talked to him forever for the rest of my life. And I miss that because I didn't get to know all that I wanted.
We went down, we skied down. That ski was good, but the outcropping was not so good. And so JT was bitching about it, about the, bad outcropping. And he fell into a manzanita bush upside down.
Aloha.
Bye, honey. I love you.
Oh, I love you.
Say hi to JT.
Hey, JT, we love you and we miss you.
We love you.
Absolutely, right?
Right on.
And
I'll
we
tell you a
wouldn't.
quick story about JT. We were up.
Oh,
in the
yeah, that's
upper
what I
lot,
want to hear.
And because he's a geology guy,
That's what I want to hear.
he goes, hey, JT, what kind of rock is that?
Hey.
And he goes, oh, that's leverite.
Yeah, leave it right there.
Leave it right there. That's a hard rock.
What'd he say?
It
Leave
is
it right there?
now. That's one of my faves.
Yeah.
Where'd he go, Jack?
Bye,
See ya, Jack.
So, but anyways, he ended up upside down in manzanita bush, and it
What?
took a lot of work. I mean, he was like upside down in the manzanita bush.
What?
And he was